Have you ever walked through your neighborhood and felt a strange heaviness in the air, like something unseen was watching you waiting? It's not just imagination. Some places carry a presence that can't be explained by logic or science. Behind the smiling faces, clean streets, and familiar routines, there may be something far darker taking root. Spiritual darkness doesn't always show up with flashing lights or dramatic horror. It hides in silence. It spreads through subtle signs, patterns of misfortune, unrest, and decay that many people chalk up to coincidence. But what if those coincidences were actually symptoms of something sinister? What if your neighborhood has already been claimed by forces you cannot see, but can deeply feel? Most people assume demonic energy belongs in old legends or horror movies. But spiritual territory can be claimed anywhere: gated communities, brand new apartment blocks, even peaceful suburbs. Evil doesn't care about appearances. It looks for weakness, and once it settles in, it begins to affect everyone who lives nearby, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. In this video, you'll discover 5 powerful signs that reveal when a neighborhood has been overtaken by dark forces. These aren't fictional tales. These are real patterns documented by those who study spiritual warfare and those who've survived it. If even one of these signs feels familiar, don't ignore it. The safety of your soul, your peace of mind, and your family could depend on what you do next. Stay until the end, because each warning builds on the last. And by the time you reach the final sign, you'll understand what to look for, how to protect yourself, and why some places must simply be left behind. Let's begin. 1. Animals behaving strangely. Without reason. Have you ever noticed your dog suddenly freezing in place at the edge of a sidewalk, or stubbornly refusing to walk past a house? It used to pass every day without hesitation. Or maybe you've seen birds slamming into the same window repeatedly, as if trying to escape from something unseen. At first glance, these behaviors might seem odd, maybe even funny. But if you look a little deeper, they might reveal something far more serious than we realize. Animals are finely tuned to their environment in a way that humans have forgotten. They don't second-guess their instincts. They don't rationalize fear or unease the way we do. When animals sense danger, whether it's physical or spiritual, they respond immediately. We know this when it comes to natural disasters. Before an earthquake, dogs start barking wildly, cats vanish under furniture, and birds flee in flocks, long before humans feel the slightest tremor. What's often overlooked is that animals also react just as powerfully to shifts in spiritual energy. What makes this especially important is that animals can perceive things we can't. A cat staring intensely at an empty corner of the room for hours isn't just being quirky. It's reacting to something that may be beyond our 5 senses. A loyal dog that suddenly growls at your front door when no one's there might not be imagining danger. It might be picking up on a spiritual presence that you can't detect. When animals in your area begin to act out of character, refusing to go outdoors, cowering at particular locations, growling at seemingly empty spaces, it could be the first sign that something malevolent has entered your environment. Sometimes the signs are even more dramatic. There are cases of sudden mass bird deaths in a specific area without any clear cause. Once lively blocks where birds used to sing now fall eerily silent. Pets that were energetic and healthy begin showing strange symptoms out of nowhere. Symptoms that baffle vets and don't respond to treatment. These aren't just random events. They're potential indicators that the natural balance has been disturbed by something dark and destructive. Throughout history, ancient cultures treated their animals as spiritual barometers. They watched them closely, not just for weather changes or natural disasters, but for signs of evil entering their lands. These traditions weren't based on superstition alone. They were born from centuries of observation. While modern society tends to dismiss animal intuition, animals themselves have not lost their ability to sense what we've forgotten. So when wildlife suddenly avoids a neighborhood, when your own pets behave fearfully or fall ill for no clear reason, it's time to ask a deeper question. What are they reacting to? Because if the animals around you are acting like something is wrong, maybe it's because something truly is. Ignoring their warnings could mean overlooking one of the clearest signs that dark spiritual forces are at work where you live. 2 widespread sleep disturbances. Across the neighborhood. There's something deeply disturbing about waking up at 3 a.m., drenched in sweat, heart racing, and a vague but overwhelming sense that something isn't right. You lie there in the dark, trying to convince yourself it was just a dream, but the unease lingers. Now imagine this isn't just happening to you. It's happening to family after family on the same quiet street. That's when you know it's not a coincidence. Something darker may be at work. Picture a woman who moves into what seems like a dream home. A beautiful house on a peaceful block with friendly neighbors and kids playing on the lawns. Everything feels perfect at first. But almost immediately, strange things begin to happen. Her young daughter wakes up crying every night, terrified of a shadowy figure that never speaks, but always appears in the same spot. Her son, who used to sleep through the night, now begs to keep the lights on and has nightmares about strangers breaking into their home. The mother tries to write it off as growing pains or stress from moving. But soon she starts to have vivid, disturbing dreams herself, always involving something sinister about the neighborhood. What she doesn't know is that other households nearby are experiencing nearly identical things. Next door, a teenage boy is terrified to go to sleep because he suffers from sudden episodes of sleep paralysis. Across the street, an older couple hears strange whispers at night, soft knocks on the walls and footsteps when no one is there yet. During the day, everything seems normal. These experiences aren't isolated. They're signs of something much larger, a spiritual disturbance affecting the entire area. When demonic influence takes hold in a neighborhood, it doesn't just attack during the day. It strikes hardest at night when people are defenseless, when the mind is most open, and when the soul is most exposed. Nightmares become weapons. Sleep turns into a battlefield. What seems like insomnia or bad dreams is often a deeper form of torment, designed to weaken spiritual resistance over time. The real warning sign here is the pattern when multiple households, especially those who've never had sleep issues before, start suffering from relentless nightmares, sleepwalking episodes, and unexplained insomnia all at once. Children are usually hit the hardest. Unlike adults, their intuition hasn't been dulled by disbelief. They feel these spiritual attacks with raw clarity, and when their fears are identical, night after night, something unnatural is clearly going on. Adults may experience these disturbances differently. Some report having eerily similar dreams, seeing the same streets, the same shadows, the same unknown faces. Others wake up feeling completely drained, like they fought something all night without remembering it. And in some of the most troubling cases, electronic devices begin to glitch in bizarre ways. Alarm clocks that reset at random, televisions that switch on by themselves at odd hours, phones that light up in the dark with no explanation. These aren't just technical issues. These are symptoms, spiritual interference manifesting in the physical world. Sleepwalking is another red flag. People who've never wandered at night suddenly begin walking through their homes or even outside completely unaware. It's not just a health issue. In deeply affected areas, it can be a sign that a person's spiritual shield is so compromised that their body becomes vulnerable to outside forces even during sleep. And the danger doesn't stop when the sun comes up. Long-term sleep deprivation, especially when caused by these kinds of spiritual attacks, wears people down mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It leaves them open to further influence, manipulation, and even physical illness. When you're running on empty, it's far easier for darkness to find a way in. So if you begin to notice more and more people in your area talking about sleep problems, night terrors, or strange occurrences that only happen after dark, pay attention. You're not just hearing random complaints. You might be witnessing the spread of something much more serious. What you'll learn in the rest of this video will help you make sense of the strange energy that sometimes clings to certain neighborhoods. This isn't just about bad dreams or occasional restlessness. It's about recognizing when darkness has claimed a place and how to protect yourself before it affects your home, your peace, and your soul. Stay with me. There's more you need to see. 3. Unexplainable waves of misfortune and accidents. There comes a point when what looks like a streak of bad luck is simply too consistent and too widespread to be dismissed as chance. When tragedies begin to happen one after another within the same community, the same streets, even the same households, you have to start asking deeper questions. Why here? Why now? And why so many? Imagine a peaceful neighborhood where out of nowhere, car crashes start happening at the exact same intersection. The weather is clear. Visibility is good. Traffic lights are functioning perfectly. Yet the accidents keep coming. Or consider several homes spread across a few blocks, suddenly catching fire within weeks of each other despite each having different electrical systems, different safety standards, different lifestyles. It's not just random. It's a pattern, and patterns are rarely meaningless. Then come the break-ins. At first, it's one home, then another. But what stands out isn't just the number, it's how strangely timed and eerily consistent they are. Burglars aren't just targeting valuables. In some cases, nothing is stolen at all. It's as if the goal is simply to disturb, to shatter the sense of safety, to provoke fear. But these aren't just attacks on property. They're attacks on people. Soon, medical emergencies rise sharply. Perfectly healthy individuals begin to suffer heart attacks, strokes, or other life-threatening conditions with no clear cause. Children start falling ill. Hospitals notice the uptick, but there's no virus, no outbreak, nothing to trace. The numbers just don't make sense until you understand the deeper layer. Marriages begin to fall apart. Couples that once seemed rock solid are suddenly at odds, caught in explosive arguments over the smallest things. Families crumble. Children act out in ways that feel unrecognizable. Academic performance drops. Behavioral issues skyrocket. Teachers are left confused, and parents are exhausted. It's not just one household, it's happening all over the neighborhood. Mental health issues begin to rise at the same time. People who've never struggled with anxiety or depression begin spiraling. There's a quiet heaviness in the air. Neighbors speak less. Smiles fade. Addiction creeps in. Suicide attempts become more frequent. And all the while, people are whispering the same thing: something doesn't feel right around here. Financial collapse often follows. Jobs are lost back to back. Small businesses that once thrived begin to sink. Savings vanish in strange ways. Emergencies pile up, unexpected bills arrive, and nothing seems to go right. Even opportunities that seemed promising fall apart without reason. It's like the entire neighborhood is under a blanket of oppression, something invisible but deeply felt. And then comes the tension between people. Neighbors who used to greet each other with warmth now avoid eye contact or argue over meaningless things. Noise complaints, boundary disputes, petty disagreements, they all turn into major feuds. The spirit of unity is replaced with suspicion, bitterness, and emotional isolation. The real danger: most people never trace this chaos back to a spiritual source. They blame economics, stress, or just a string of bad luck. They normalize the dysfunction and adapt to the disruption. But in truth, they're living in a spiritually compromised environment, an area where dark energy has taken root and begun to unravel every part of life, one thread at a time. Those who understand the nature of spiritual warfare know that these are not isolated events. They are coordinated effects of a deeper presence that seeks to dismantle order, peace, and connection. And that's why recognizing these patterns matters, because once you see it for what it is, you can begin to fight back. This information could change how you view your surroundings forever. And if you feel the weight of what's being shared, and you'd like to support this ongoing mission to bring spiritual clarity to more people, feel free to tap the thanks button below. Every act of support helps us reach those who need this knowledge most. Now, let's continue, because what comes next may explain why some neighborhoods never seem to recover, no matter how much effort people put in. 4. The collapse of spiritual vitality in the community. This next sign is one of the most profound and often the most overlooked when it comes to understanding how spiritual warfare truly operates. When dark forces take hold of a place, they don't just create fear, confusion, or chaos. Their strategy is far more insidious. They aim to sever the connection between people and the divine. And they do it slowly, deliberately, until the presence of light and faith begins to dim across the entire neighborhood. One of the clearest indications that a place has come under spiritual attack is when you begin to witness a deep decline in religious participation and spiritual awareness. We're not talking about natural changes in attendance or generational shifts. This is something more immediate, something heavier. Churches that once had vibrant congregations begin to empty out, even though nothing has changed internally. There's no scandal, no division, no leadership issue. The people simply start drifting away, often without understanding why. It's heartbreaking. Pastors and spiritual leaders who've devoted their lives to their communities now find themselves preaching to rows of empty seats. The air feels thick. Worship becomes difficult, even for those who once found joy and comfort in it. The very desire to connect with God begins to evaporate, not because people stopped believing, but because the spiritual atmosphere itself begins to suppress their hunger for truth. Sacred symbols and places don't escape either. Religious icons are defaced. Crosses are broken. Statues are destroyed. At first, these acts might seem like isolated cases of vandalism, but when they repeat again and again, targeting only what is holy, it becomes clear that something deeper is at work. It's as if the darkness in the area is actively resisting anything sacred, anything that could bring light. But what makes this sign especially dangerous is the way it infiltrates private faith. People who once prayed daily begin to forget. Scriptures that used to speak to their soul now feel distant, irrelevant. Prayer becomes harder. Silence becomes unsettling. Many try to rationalize this as being too busy or going through a rough season, but they don't realize that the spiritual air around them has changed. It's no longer neutral, it's resistant. Small spiritual groups that once thrived begin to disband. Bible studies, prayer meetings, fellowship circles, they all start encountering strange difficulties. People cancel last minute. Schedules never align. Participants lose interest or suddenly feel tension with one another. Something that once brought peace now feels forced and uncomfortable. Even visiting pastors and ministers often sense it. They might not say anything, but their visits become shorter, and their energy shifts the moment they step into the area. In personal spaces, the effects can be just as chilling. Blessed items like crosses, Bibles, rosaries, or sacred jewelry begin to break or vanish inexplicably. People report feeling physical unease when they try to pray in their own homes. For some, the words won't come. For others, reading sacred texts becomes mentally exhausting, even painful. It's not just a spiritual dry spell, it's spiritual suppression. Children, often the most spiritually sensitive among us, react strongly. Kids who once loved Sunday school or faith-based activities now resist them entirely. Some become fearful around anything spiritual. Others lash out or reject religious teachings they previously embraced. This isn't just rebellion. It's a subtle, growing disconnection, one that hints at the deeper agenda of dark forces. Because here's the core of it. Demonic influence isn't satisfied with disrupting daily life. Its true goal is to eliminate hope, break down purpose, and disconnect people from anything higher than themselves. The real war isn't over health or finances, it's over the soul. When a neighborhood loses its spiritual vitality, when faith begins to fade in multiple homes, you're not just witnessing a cultural shift. You're seeing a battlefield where the enemy has begun to win. Understanding this sign is vital. The erosion of spiritual life in a community is not a coincidence. It is often the result of an intentional and coordinated spiritual attack, one that seeks to isolate people from their source of light and truth. And unless that decay is noticed, confronted, and reversed, it can spread like rot beneath the surface of even the most beautiful, outwardly peaceful neighborhoods. So if you find yourself living in a place where faith once thrived, but now feels like a forgotten relic, where people have stopped seeking God, not out of rebellion, but out of apathy, don't ignore it. That loss of spiritual fire isn't just personal, it's environmental. And it might be the strongest evidence yet that something dark is working in the background. Let's keep going, because what comes next will make you rethink what truly shapes the energy and destiny of a neighborhood. 5 distortions in the environment and shifts in atmospheric energy. Take a moment and really tune into your surroundings. When was the last time you walked through your own neighborhood and felt a chill crawl across your skin, despite the sun shining above you? Have you ever smelled something foul and decaying, even though there was no garbage or pollution in sight? Has your phone signal vanished, or your Wi-Fi glitched for no apparent reason, only to work perfectly again once you left a specific area? These may seem like small, unrelated issues, but in spiritual terms, they could be warnings that something dark is quietly influencing your environment. The final and most overlooked sign of spiritual takeover is when the physical world around you begins to act abnormally. Demonic forces, when entrenched in a specific location, do more than just disrupt lives. They disturb the very atmosphere. If you've ever stepped into a particular street or corner of your neighborhood and suddenly felt the air grow heavy, the light dim, or your energy drain, don't write it off as imagination. These are spiritual imprints manifesting physically. They twist what's natural. And if you pay attention, your body will sense what your eyes can't see. One of the most common signs of spiritual corruption is a change in air and temperature. A sudden drop in warmth, a strange heaviness in the air, or even a feeling of pressure pressing down on your chest. These aren't just weather quirks. They often happen in areas where dark energy lingers. Sometimes the air feels thick. Other times, it feels too still. Many people report difficulty breathing or an unshakable feeling of unease in certain spots, especially ones that were once vibrant and full of life. Smell is another way the environment reveals spiritual contamination. Odors of rot sulfur burning or something indescribably foul often appear where nothing visible is decaying. These smells have no physical source, and that's the point. It's not trash or sewage. It's a spiritual stench, one that seeps through the veil into our world and unsettles everything it touches. Technology, too, begins to malfunction in unexpected ways. Streetlights flicker when you pass. Your car alarm goes off for no reason. Your phone loses signal in specific places, even when you're in the center of a coverage area. Routers and televisions' glitch batteries drain faster, and surveillance cameras refuse to record in certain areas. Service providers may not find anything wrong, but spiritually sensitive individuals know that what's happening is interference from an unseen force. Dark spiritual energy can disrupt electronics because it carries its own frequency, one that clashes with normal energy flow. Even the plant life responds to spiritual pollution. Are there sections of your yard where grass refuses to grow, no matter how well you care for it? Do trees look withered, twisted, or diseased, even though others nearby thrive? Have your flowers stopped blooming? When nature begins to resist life in certain pockets of land, it's often because the spiritual soil has been poisoned. Living things, plants, animals, even people react instinctively to corrupted environments, even if we can't immediately explain the cause. Weather also starts behaving strangely. You might witness sudden storms that erupt over just one part of the neighborhood and nowhere else. Unusual cloud formations that hover ominously over certain streets. Rapid shifts in temperature that defy the forecast. These aren't simply meteorological anomalies. They're often the spiritual atmosphere pushing its way into the physical realm. And let's not forget how this disturbance affects us directly. Some people find themselves physically ill in particular areas. Headaches, fatigue, nausea, with no medical explanation. Others feel inexplicably angry, anxious, or disoriented when entering specific zones. You might avoid certain streets without knowing why, or feel the urge to rush through areas where the air feels off. That's your body responding to the spiritual frequency of the land. Your nervous system knows when something is wrong, even if your conscious mind doesn't. These environmental distortions are not just random annoyances. They are final, undeniable symptoms of spiritual occupation. When taken together with the other four signs, animal behavior, disrupted sleep, clustered misfortunes, and fading spiritual life, they form a full picture of what it means to live in a spiritually compromised territory. Now that you know, the next step is up to you. You can't afford to ignore what you've seen. Smart people don't brush off life-saving insight. They act, because the truth is, most people cannot fight against this kind of darkness alone. Trying to write it out, or pray it away without fully understanding what you're facing, can leave you vulnerable to even greater harm. The wisest course is to remove yourself and your loved ones from that spiritual battlefield. Protect your spirit by preparing before you move. Cleanse your belongings. Disconnect from any attachments that might still carry residue from the old environment. Seek out a place where peace, not oppression, lingers in the air. Surround yourself with others who understand spiritual discernment and who live in alignment with the light. And remember, what you're seeing on your screen right now isn't a coincidence. The next suggested video has been selected because your soul is seeking answers. Don't ignore it. Click it, learn more, and strengthen your defenses. Because when it comes to protecting your peace, awareness is not enough. Action is what saves lives. Thank you for watching and staying until the end. If this video helped open your eyes or made you reflect on your surroundings more deeply, let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. Your story might help someone else realize they're not alone. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us on this path of awareness, strength, and spiritual clarity. New videos are coming soon to help you protect your peace, your mind, and your soul.